As you will all know by now, something completely predictable has happened, and that is that Mikel Antonio has got injured, and it's made the squad look paper thin. I think very much people may well be looking at it and thinking, well, we're about to reap what we sow. We're about to see the results of what was quite a poor transfer window in terms of the number of players that left, and that was quite a few when you list them, and the number of players that came in. It was said at the start that we had an unbalanced squad, and it didn't seem to rectify that at all throughout the transfer window. We still seem to have an unbalanced squad. You haven't got to be a genius, by the way, and many of you watching this now, in fact, I got loads of you, there have been hundreds of comments over the last month or two suggesting we were weak in midfield, and if we got an injury in midfield, then we'd be in a bit of trouble, and also that maybe we were weak in attack. And I think there was often the suggestion that Sebastien Haller would step in. But as the season's unfolded, and as David Moyes has switched his formation, I do believe it has become increasingly evident that we're playing with a style, and we're playing in a manner that makes it absolutely necessary that the forward does a lot of running, a lot of pressing, a lot of pulling out wide, a lot of everything. There's basically a massive workload for the centre forward, who has to be high energy and fast. Now, obviously, you look at Sebastien Haller, and he's none of those things. So people would look at it and think, well, hold on a second, the squad is light. And it is light, by the way. But I'm mindful not to start moaning about things before they've happened. And the suspicion is that because the squad is constructed in the way that it is, that we will now start losing games. Well, let's be perfectly honest, despite our recent good form, despite the fact that we were looking forward to playing against Liverpool, the statistics and the likelihood was that we were going to lose that game anyway. So really, what does it mean for the games coming up after that? Because depending on which website you read, it could be anything from 3 to 8 weeks that Antonio is out for. Now, the actual time I'm going to take with a pinch of salt, because David Moyes has apparently given instruction for no leaks to come out from the club. And he's trying to clamp down to work out on where those leaks have come from. And if anybody is found to be leaking information, they're going to be in an awful lot of trouble. So I would imagine there's a certain amount of guesswork involved in any of this. But we'll deal with that from David Moyes in another video. Just staying on topic and on the actual news of Antonio being out, I don't want to preempt it and sort of now predict that Antonio's out. We're going to lose all the remaining games until he comes back. Because now is an opportunity. And it's an opportunity for everybody, because as one door closes, another one opens. And the obvious opportunity is for Sebastien Haller. But it also offers up an opportunity for somebody else, and that somebody else is David Moyes. And that in turn, if David Moyes grasps the nettle and he uses an opportunity to tweak the system, which I think he's going to have to do, that in itself will present opportunities, quite possibly, to side Benrahma and to Manuel Lanzini. Now, the shape that we have been playing recently, which has obviously been the 3 centre-halves, the 2 wing-backs, 5 at the back, 3 at the back, call it what you will. The formation, the Arsenal, Wolves, Leicester, Tottenham formation, that formation. That really desperately needs this focal point at the top, and the way Antonio has been playing. It's the way, as you will know, that I thought that Joshua King would have been a very, very good fit for West Ham. I think Joshua King could have swapped in very easily, and we wouldn't have had to change the style of play. Well, now we do. We have to change the style of play. But we're not having to change the style of play with an incompetent player coming in. Actually, this is an opportunity, because we get to change the style of play to incorporate a £45 million striker. We get to change the style of play with somebody who was one of the best players in the Bundesliga, and dare I say it, when Frankfurt had their march through to the latter stages of the Europa League, one of the best strikers in Europe. I don't believe David Moyes is any fool, but I do he's received a lot of love on this channel, let's say. He's received an awful lot of love, David Moyes, a lot of credit for a long time now, since before lockdown. And he's earned it, by the way. No one's been doing him any favours. Not been doing him a favour by saying he's done well. He has done well. But now is the time to show his versatility. And he can actually prove himself. It's an opportunity to prove himself even more adept than he currently looks. Because at the moment, he looks like a manager who's found a formation, has found a way to utilise personnel, change a winger in Antonio into a centre forward, which he's done before with Arnautovic, and start getting results. Well, now he's got to show that he can utilise someone like Sebastien Haller. Now, I'll give you an example, and it's not a direct comparison, by the way, because Duncan Ferguson was extremely aggressive, but he weren't quick, and he was dominant in the air. And I dare say Antonio is both of those things. I'm not sure the first one is a particular compliment. But he has a hell of a football brain. I think if anybody is going to suffer in all of this, I've got a feeling it might be Pablo Fornals. But that's only if he retains the same shape. Because if he retains the same shape, he's going to need to get somebody a little bit more creative in Fornals' position, and whoever it is going to need to get closer to Sebastien Haller. We know what doesn't work with Haller. Asking him to do loads of running, pulling out wide into the channels, and leaving him isolated. That doesn't work. So, just by the same rationale, keeping him central and getting people close to him is what you want to do. Now, we know that it's advantageous for us to get Bowen close to him because we've already, in the time, I think, certainly pre-lockdown and just after, it really showed that you could, if you got in and about Sebastien Haller, you could make runs off of him. Maybe it was the last game before lockdown. Quite possibly. Did Bowen score? Something like that. But I certainly seem to remember him making runs off of Sebastien Haller, knowing and being confident he was going to get the ball. Because he will hold the ball up. He will win most of his headers. But that's not going to be enough. That other person needs to get close as well. I guess the question would be, how in form is Manuel Lanzini? Have we seen a glimmer of promise, or have we seen a player that's coming into form? Because we know he can play that role. Because when David Moyes was here the first time, when he changed Marko Arnautovic from a winger into a striker, he put Lanzini with him. Not quite as a striker, but very, very close. Maybe he had a free role. It's not beyond the realms of possibility, by the way, that David Moyes does allocate somebody a free role. I spoke in yesterday's video about Mark Noble, when I was talking about Mark Noble and Declan Rice, about Mark Noble having that little free role. He seemed to create a position just to try and make things work. I felt at the time it was a way to get Mark Noble in the team. Now, I don't think he will try and get Mark Noble back in the team, but what I do think he will do, if he has to create a new position to get somebody close to Sebastien Haller, I think he'll do so, and I think he'll give somebody a free role. That almost possibly that same role that Mark Noble had, just a different player occupying it. And I think if that does happen, particularly against the lesser teams, may I say, maybe not against Manchester United when we play them, or maybe not against Chelsea when we eventually play them, but certainly when we play the likes of Fulham and Burnley and teams who we should really be hoping that we'd beat, you want a creative player in there. So I would see the opportunity for a Benrahma or for a Lanzini to play in that position. And whilst it is always sad and disappointing that somebody gets injured, I'd be disappointed if the likes of Benrahma and the likes of Lanzini, and particularly Sebastien Haller, weren't rubbing their hands and thinking, this is our opportunity to impress. I wouldn't have blamed, in many respects, Sebastien Haller from having a bit of a sulk up recently, for being a little bit downbeat. You see yourself as a player, you go into the Premier League. A lot of these players that play in Europe want to play in the Premier League. Not just because the Premier League is a good league and it's fast-paced. A lot of them want to come in for the money. I'm not even going to suggest which one Sebastien Haller is. But I don't think we've played to his strengths since he's come in. it has got to be disheartening when you are a club's record signing at 45 million. You go to a club and you're not played in the way that you thought you were going to be. It's got to be even more disheartening when somebody that doesn't even play in your position takes your place. So, how much has this impacted him? How much can he lift himself? I really hope that Sebastien Haller goes into training with a spring in his step and with a point to prove. And if he wants an example, he doesn't have to look very far, because that example is Fabian Balbuena, who I've said numerous times on here was not fancied by the manager. He got his place in the team because of coronavirus, basically. Because Issa Diop, if you remember, and Josh Cullen, they both went down with it, them two and the manager. Fabian Balbuena was literally the last man standing. He got put into the team, and ever since he got put into the team, he's played exceptionally well. Well, Sebastien Haller is literally the last man standing. He goes into the team. He has to go into the team. I've seen lots of creative ideas. Yarmolenko can play up there. Bowen can play up there. It must not happen. And the reason it must not happen is we have to try and appreciate that we do have an asset there. And I say appreciate, it will be a depreciating asset if we're not too careful with it. We have to give Sebastien Haller every single chance. Even if we want to get rid of him, we have to give him every single chance. If we want to keep him, and at the moment, we want to get some points. If we want to get points, our best chance of scoring goals is through the £45 million striker. Not Yarmolenko. Not Bowen. I'm not saying they don't feature in the team. Bowen plays in the team anyway. Bowen produces goals and assists from a wide position. We're talking centrally here. So we get him in the team. We get Sebastien Haller in the team. That benefits us by getting us points. And if we do want to sell him, it makes him alluring and attractive to anybody else that wants to come in. He may even, by one chance or another, be a forgotten man. I think we saw a little bit of that with Felipe Anderson. Felipe Anderson pretty much been a forgotten man in the end. We had to loan him out to Porto. When I saw, I hadn't put him in the team anyway. It's a chance for us to get some points. It's a chance for us to build up our asset, and it's a chance for Sebastien Haller to get some confidence, get some goals, and either make himself a mainstay of the West Ham team, or to make himself attractive to somebody to come in the next window and buy him. And when I say he hasn't got to look very far to look at Balbuena, Diop's fit now, but Diop can't get in a team. I am in no doubt about what I'm about to say now. A month ago, 2 months ago, in David Moyes' mind, Diop had a far higher chance of getting into the team than Balbuena. In his estimations, Diop was there, Balbuena was there. Now it's like that. So it can be done, and I think that is a good thing about Moyes. He's open to change. He's open to having his mind changed, and he's not so stubborn that he won't just stick to a player. You get in, it sends the right message. You get into the team, you do well, you stay in the team. So that's got to be the message for Sebastien Haller. You get in the team now, you stay in the team. But let's not, and this is where Moyes has got to prove he's adaptable. This is where he's got to prove that it's an opportunity for him. Because it's no good just bunging him in the team and expecting him to perform like Mikel Antonio. Moyes will know this. That's why Haller's not been in the team. Moyes will know he's got to be a bit creative here. He's also going to have to adjust something tactically within the team with regard to the pace of the team. Because you cannot have a situation where the fastest player in the attack is Jarrod Bowen. Jarrod Bowen is not slow, but Jarrod Bowen's a 7.5 out of 10 a pace. He's not electric. I wouldn't want to give the fornicator a number. I wouldn't want to rank him, give him a number for speed. But it wouldn't be a high number, put it that way. Sebastien Haller wouldn't have a high number. Somebody has got to give some direct running, which is what Antonio provides, albeit from a deeper position. And somebody's got to be able to get up front, get alongside or in advance of Sebastien Haller very, very quickly. Now, I in all honesty, I'm not sure how fast Benrahma is. I don't know. Maybe somebody will tell me there. I think I think Lanzini's about another 7.5 or so. Lanzini's not rapid, but also he's not slow. Maybe Bowen is a little bit quicker. But you're going to need to be high energy because the rest of the team are high energy. You're never going to match Antonio. You're never going to replace him like for like. But Sebastien Haller does have a massive opportunity here, and whilst it does seem bad news, and it has been bad, you can't. Let's not say that it will be planned. If Moyes pulls this off, he's got the board out of a hole. He really has, because he's not been left with a suitable squad. He's not been left with a balanced squad. I get the impression he really wanted Ollie Watkins and he really wanted Josh King. He definitely was after either one or both of those strikers, and he was delivered none. He has every opportunity to turn around to David Sullivan and say, look, we're in a situation that's totally predictable. Us as fans are looking at it and thinking, this situation is totally predictable. You knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. But you know what? Now it doesn't matter. Now we're in the situation. Now you've got to hope that the owners, the board, learn from it. Particularly bear in mind they haven't had to pay for Benrahma. Go and get the striker in January. But how are we going to get to January? Well, we're going to get to January by using Sebastien Haller. I've got a feeling, and I hope, that it's not all doom and gloom, that we're not going to lose all our games between now and when Mikel Antonio comes back. I'm hopeful that he makes a fist of it and they make a good job of it. But I'm not going to start complaining about the impending doom just yet. I'm not going to start complaining about a defeat before it's happened. And I'm certainly not going to pin any defeat we may not have against Liverpool on the fact that Antonio is not there. It may have happened anyway. I would even suggest, and obviously we'll have a preview, coming up in the week. I would even suggest that despite Antonio, despite that his injury happening, we can still go into that game with a little bit of confidence.